Hi, welcome to Maverick and Dempsey's Rundown. And whoa, there's the little crab walking through. Hey. All right, so we wanted to do a pre-show before the NFC and AFC championships, but that didn't happen. Little too busy, with work and her activities and such. So we didn't get to do that this past Sunday, but we do have a recap of the top storylines for coming from the NFC and AFC championships, and also leading into the Super Bowl, which is in a little less than 2 weeks. So we're gonna kick it right off, all right? So we got to start with the losers, Lamar and the Ravens. Now Lamar, unfortunately, he's taking like all the blame here. Nobody's doubting John Harbaugh. Nobody's talking about his coaching. Nobody's talking about whether he's, you know, can do it or not. He's done it before. So he comes from a lineage of a family who can do it, as his brother showed in college with Michigan. So it really just all falls to Lamar. I mean, nobody's talking about anything else, but can Lamar actually get the ring, get the chip, get the trophy? I don't know. I I personally don't think so. I think he is that guy that will flame out. I had said this. I can't remember. I believe I brought this up on a previous podcast that we did. But I remember getting into a trash talking match as a Bengals and Burrow supporter versus a Lamar and Ravens fan online. I know it's so, you should never feed the trolls, ladies and gentlemen. But I remember getting in an argument with this guy who was like, no, it's Lamar's division. Lamar's going all the way, Ravens all the way, and all this stuff. And I told him, I said, look, he's a great quarterback. He's a great talent. It's a great team, but he flames out. Whether he gets injured or not, he flames out and doesn't make it the distance. And he didn't make it the distance here. He put up a dud. I mean, what was the final score? 17-7? I mean, this is your MVP. I mean, it's looking like he's the regular season MVP. It kind of goes back to the Manning versus Brady discussion. You know, who's the greatest regular season quarterback of all time? Peyton Manning. Who's the greatest quarterback of all time? Tom Brady. Who's got the rings? 7-2. Who's been in more Super Bowls? 10-4. You know, it's Brady by a long shot. So it's looking like that's where Lamar's going. Lamar, he's going to get more rings than Josh Allen. More MVPs than Josh Allen and probably even Patrick Mahomes when it's said and done. But when it comes down to rings, you got Patrick Mahomes with the rings. Hopefully Burrow gets in there, or Josh Allen. It's not just the Mahomes show for the next 10 years. But I don't think Lamar can finish it. I don't think he's a strong finisher. I think he's proven he's not. Whether he's getting injured and it's physical, or whether it's mental, he's putting up a dud like he did in the AFC Championship. It's just not going to happen. The other one is the Lions. Lions, this one's all falling to Dan Campbell. She was upset about that. We were on opposing sides, if you saw that last podcast, where she was rooting for the Lions to go all the way. A lot of people were. Part of me was rooting for the Lions. But Cinderella team versus the Cinderella man. I went with the man. She went with the team. In terms of that's in Brock Purdy. But it's going to Dan Campbell. You know, the blame isn't really going to Jared Goff. The blame isn't really going to the defense, even though it should. Who couldn't stop San Francisco in the second half at all after they, put a blockade in front of them in the first half and didn't let them score anything but one touchdown. And then the second half, they just went nuts and completed the comeback, 24-7, and then came all the way back to win. But it's all going to Dan Campbell. It's your coaching decision. But I mean, I'm not going to put too much on him. He's a coach in, I think, his third year, and he took him to the NFC Championship. It's just the beginning. I don't think this is it for the Lions. Jared Goff, he played well this season. He played well in the championship game. You know, they put up 4 touchdowns. So I don't think it was him either. So it's all going to Dan Campbell, which I think is unfair. I think it's warranted for this one game, but I don't think this one game changed the way you thought of him the entire season. You got anything to say about your Lions?
Come on, defense.
Come on, defense. Well, offense too. They didn't put up much in that second half. But anyway, all right. So we move on to the winning teams. All right, Super Bowl less than 2 weeks away, as I said, and we're going to start with Mahomes. Is Mahomes the GOAT? Simple answer: no. No. I've said this before. I'm gonna say it again. It's Russell Wilson 2.0. Russell Wilson went to 2 Super Bowls in his first 3 years. Won one of them, lost the other. If he would have won that second one, if the Patriots wouldn't have beaten them, we'd be looking at Russell the exact same way we're looking at Pat Mahomes. But Mahomes gets the pass. They already want to crown somebody the GOAT. Now, a lot of it is KC's fans, and Mahomes has a lot of fans in the media too, because he is a nice guy. He's got the Kermit the Frog voice, which people find endearing, and they're looking for that next story. They're looking for the GOAT. It's not fun to wave bye to Tom Brady, and you're like, we can't talk about him anymore. Imagine this: the Cowboys are always a story. They're always going to be a story. All right, they haven't won since the early '90s. It's been 30 years since they were the champions, but we're always going to talk about them because they're the biggest franchise in the country, in the world, okay? So when Tom Brady, who is the biggest franchise in professional football, retires, Cowboys are always going to be there. They ain't disappearing. If they disappeared, what would you do? You'd have to find someone else. You'd have to find a new franchise, and you'd be looking for a while. Well, Brady's gone, so you look to the next guy. But he's got 2 rings. Yeah, he's having a great career. He's being carried by his defense, though. If you're going to say Brady was carried by his defense in the first 3 years of his career, well, Pat Mahomes is being carried by his defense right now. And he had Tyreek Hill before. He's got Patrick Kelce right now. And yeah, he had Kelce before too, but it was mainly a Tyreek and Mahomes game. And now people, at least the media, ignore the Kelce part of it. But Kelce was a better tight end back then, and now he's still the greatest or one of the greatest tight ends right now. So it's Mahomes and Kelce, all right? And then that defense. People forget they had a top 1 or 2 defense this entire year. But we're not going to look at that. We're not going to look at the fact that Mahomes has actually had a down year. And in his last 2 Super Bowls, he didn't play well. So let's see what happens in this one. I'm hoping it happens again because I'm biased. I'm not rooting for Pat Mahomes. I'm not rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs. This GOAT talk and baby GOAT talk needs to stop. I mean, he needs a lot more stats and a lot more rings. Oh, he's ahead of Tom Brady in stats. I hear that for the first 3 years. Tom Brady didn't come out of his shell till after the first 3 years because it was a defense and a game and a team with a lot of pieces. Then when he was carrying the team and he was making stars out of scrubs like Edelman and Danny Amendola, no offense to them, but it's true. You had a former college quarterback in I just said his name, but you had Danny Amendola, who was a player nobody else wanted, and you had the former college quarterback. See, this is what happens when you don't have a script. Anyway, what's his buddy from Patriots? I just said his name. Edelman. Thank you, co-host. Hit me faster next time, though. But then he had Edelman. He had the 2 tight end system at one point. But then he lost Hernandez. I mean, see, the thing is, Brady was the guy that changed just not season to season, but every like 3 years or something, he would change. It's a defensive game. Now it's a tight end game. Now it's a slot receiver game. He had that brief interlude of Randy Moss, but that was like his only A-list receiver. And people forget that. So there was no baby GOAT here. Let's see if this baby GOAT can finish the story. And speaking of finishing the story, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft, Mr. Cinderella Man, can he finish the story? Joe Burrow, unfortunately, did not finish the story, where he came back his first full season in the NFL, and he took his team, the worst team in the NFL, to the Super Bowl. But he didn't finish the story. And that's unfortunate. And now he's injured, and he still isn't going to finish it. Not this year. Hopefully next year. But can Brock Purdy finish the story? Mr. Irrelevant, Cinderella Man, hey, it's really nice. It's really cool. You're taking your team to the Super Bowl. But can you win the Super Bowl? So that's the big story coming in here. And, of course, we can't ignore the other story, which is Taylor Swift. Yeah, Taylor Swift is a big story. You ain't going to lose that. They're going to show her a bunch in the game if she's at the game. I heard she has a concert or something that night. Doesn't know if she can make it. Whatever. Well, if she's there, if she's there, they're going to film her nonstop. If she's not there, they're going to show cardboard cutout of her probably. Or at least talk about her. And the thing is, I'm not the hater on the Tay-Tay. I don't really care. regardless, I'm a hater on Kelsey. I think he's garbage. But so I don't like your boyfriend. But hey, there's nothing new. I don't like a lot of girls' boyfriends. But Taylor, get your camera time, 34 seconds or whatever it was, and people are having a conniption fit online about it. I don't care. She's a storyline here. I think in all honesty, if we're rooting for a storyline here, then contracts need to be worked out, and she needs to do that Super Bowl halftime show next year. That'd be the biggest thing in the world. I mean, too bad she can't do it this year. I heard it's like a Pepsi and a Coke contract dispute. One's got her, the other's got the Super Bowl. It's something like that. But regardless, that'd be pretty cool. But NFL needs to jump on this fast and get her next year for the Super Bowl show. Do I want to see it? No. No offense. I know you're a fan. I'm still the rock and roll guy. I'm still like, let's grab Foo Fighters, Lenny Kravitz, get Guns N' Roses while they're still alive. Let's throw some guys out like that. She'll take it. How about Journey, man? We got San Francisco in the Super Bowl this year. How about throw some Journey in the halftime show? Reuniting with Steve Perry. I think that'd be pretty cool. But anyway, I think that's it for this podcast. You got anything?
Not really.
All right, that's it for her. All right, so we're going to hit you with another podcast soon. Until then, we say peace out.